Hi guys, so on today's tutorial we're going to be learning how to make this beautiful false wrap dress with a drawstring on the shoulders or sleeves and a back waistline. So here's the one I made for my plus size clients. If you're just joining here, this is I Just Sparks Made. Welcome to my channel and let's get right into the video. All right, so first off, I'll be working with my pattern paper on fold. Yes, my pattern paper is on fold, and that's because the front is a false wrap, so I'm using this false wrap to do a full basic bodice. Yeah, and as usual I came down by 1 inch, but before I go forward I would just want to give you a little rundown on the measurements I'll be working with. I'm working with a bust 44, shoulder 14.5, waist 36, shoulder to bust point 12, shoulder to under bust 15.5, shoulder to waist 19. Okay, so let's just get started. I'll first of all come down by 12 inches, which is my shoulder to bust point, and then I'll label that. Then I'll come down by 15.5 inches, which is my shoulder to under bust line. So I'll just make sure that my line is going across, and then I will be coming down by shoulder to waist, which is 19 inches. And yes, shoulder to waist 19 inches. I would also be drawing a line across, to signify my shoulder to waist line. Now when I'm done with this, the next measurement I'll be taking is my shoulder. From my waist I'm coming down by 4 inches. Now this 4 inches is how long I want my top length to be, so this is my total top length. Okay, and don't forget that the lower part of this blouse has a back effect. It has a back waistline. So when I'm done, I'll do my chest measurement or my armhole point, which is my bust divided by 6 plus 1.5 plus 1 inch, and I had 9.8. Yes, 9.8. So I'll be marking down 9.8, marking my shoulder point and bringing it down to my chest line, and then connecting the line to my shoulder point, and then marking my standard neckline and neck width, and then connecting with my curve ruler. Now we all know the drill. If you are familiar with how to make a basic bodice, you know all of this. Yes, so I'll just quickly run through this for purpose of those that are just seeing this for the first time. So now when I'm done, I would be using my curve ruler to get my armhole curve after marking my bust point. Now the reason why the bust is really wide on the front pattern is because I used the subtraction method. Yes, but please, whatever method you decide to use would work perfectly. And the reason I use the subtraction method is because my client is very, very busty. Okay, so I want the measurements to really sit well on her body when she wears the dress. All right, so now I used my back pattern to calculate my bust that distance. Remember that the difference between your front waistline and your front half length and your back half length will give you your bust that. Yes, and when I was done, I placed in my bust span measurements before bringing down my bust span, my bust that input, okay, which I had 2.5 inches. Now without the bust span I wouldn't be able to place that bust that was why I did that first. Then I'll go ahead and mark my waist and connect to my bust point. So now after marking my waist and connecting to my bust area, I'll be marking my hip length and just getting an imaginary line just so that I can have a good curved line or a good curve around my top length, because I do not want it to be as straight as the waistline. Since it is not the waist, I'll have to impute the hip line as a guide to get the curve. Now after getting the curve, I'll just go ahead and mark my back shape. Yes, so however deep or however you want your back shape, for me I just came down by 4 inches and then connected my back shape to the waistline. Now when I'm done, I will go back to my back pattern and make sure that my neck width is now 3.5 inches, because the standard 3 is too small for my client. Remember, she's a plus size. Okay, then I'll be using my tape at the center back and coming down by 12.5 inches, yes, and then coming down at the side by 1.5 or 2 inches. It's totally up to you. Now we want to create like a form of a yoke out, to give this design, and also doing the same back shape on the back bodice. Okay, now when I'm done with that, I'll just go ahead and just cut out this pattern so you can see what I have done. Remember that I said the back pattern is not on fold, yes, so I'll just simply tighten my shoulder points a little bit by 0.2 inches just before I cut out that shoulder line. Okay, I want to be sure that we are all following and we have all followed to this point. Let me know in the comment section if you have followed to this point. Okay, now when that is cut out, the next thing I'm going to do is detach the part that is now going to form like a yoke. Remember that we are doing gathers on these upper sides, so you need to separate it from the back area, which is the chest area. Okay, now when I'm done, you can go ahead and come in on your waist by 1/2 inch, but whatever thing you take out, remember to replace it back to the waist. Yes, so you can take out 1/2 inch, you can take out 0.75, but just be sure to replace whatever. Now it just helps to give your back a good cinch. Okay, so whatever you do, replace it back at the side. Okay, all right, so the next thing I'm going to be doing is working on my front pattern. Now I simply went ahead to extend all of the lines and also cut out the front pattern. I extended all the lines, remembering that our front pattern is on fold. I extended all of the lines to meet the other side of the fold, and then I'm going to be adjusting the neck width as well to my 3.5, just like I did at the back. So this is what it looks like after extending all the line. I'll now extend the extra 0.5 inches to make that 3.5, and then go ahead and mark out my neckline. Yes, it's your false wrap is going to be like a V neckline, but you're going to be coming in from the side by 2.5 inches. Now for this false wrap, we are starting from our under bust. Yes, everything is starting from the under bust. For the front area, is starting from the under bust. The back, I came down by 12.5 inches, and at the side by 2 or 1.5 inches. So when I'm done, I'll just make sure that I place back my bust span on both sides as well, because I'll do a little tightening even though this other side has been cut out. Yes, I'll do a little tightening even though this other side has been cut out. I'll close up the dart that was supposed to be around there. Remember that we did a bust dart, yes, so it is advisable to close up. So when I close up, I will just simply blend out the excesses, which I just did. Now to be able to close this dart, we are going to be tracing out we are going to be slashing. So we're going to be tracing out our line for slashing and spreading. Now I am slashing and touching the bust point, yes, so that it will be very easy for me to close this bust dart. Please take note that when you slash, your line should hit the bust point. Okay, so that's what I'm going to do here. So I'll label this center front and then 1, 2 and 3. Yes, now I'll go ahead and slash 1 and slash 2, and then we have 3, and I'll also use my marker pen to just label that part so that I'll know where is the upper part of this pattern paper, just like so. So I'll go ahead and just cut it open. You can see that after cutting out 1, which was holding the bust points, you see that the bust dart closes freely on its own. Yes, the bust dart closes. So that's just the trick. So if you want your bust dart to close easily, make sure that you slash and spread, hitting your bust point. Yes, hitting your bust point line. So I'll go ahead and just cut. Now don't forget that for every part that has the closed bust dart, you should do it all around. Yes, like this number 2. it has a closed bust dart, and I went ahead to do that. Now this is what we have here. So after slashing and spreading, this is what we have here. So I did a gap spacing of about 4 inches on each of this spreading. Yes, I did about 4 inches. For me, I feel like the 4 inches is actually ideal, and I had a total of 16 inches on the shoulder line. I feel like this is perfect. You can do from 14 to 16 inches, depends on how wide or how big the person you're working for is. Now for the dart allowance, I'm going to be doing 1/2 inch on the sides, 1/2 inch on the armhole area, 1 inch on the side of the top, and then 1.5 inch on the top part, because we are doing a drawstring at the shoulder area. I'm doing 1.5 inch. Now I went ahead to cut out the front pattern and trim off all of the excesses, so that I have this as my original pattern, then transfer all of the allowances on my main fabric. Now don't forget that we still have our back pattern, and we have the front under bust down to the back's waistline. Now for the back pattern as well, the part where we came down by 1.5 inch and came down from the center back by 12.5 inch, I would also do the same slash and spread, because we are going to do the same drawstring on it, and also the same gathering on the lower part connecting to the chest area down to the back's waistline. Yes, so I'll just confirm that I have 16 on this shoulder of the front. I'm going to be doing my slash and spread in favor of that 16. Yes, because you want this thing to meet with each other, right? So you don't want your front to be 12 and your back is 15. No, so whatever you do on the front has to be done at the back. So I have to make sure that my slash and spread will give me the same results as the front. And yes, I did a spacing of 4 inches as well at the back, and I got the same results. I got 16 inches. You can see I had a total of 16 inches. So when I'm done with this, I would still use my paper to place on each other and confirm it. Okay, then I'll go ahead and use my marker pen to just trace out the straight lines, because I'll be adding out all of my allowances on the main fabric. So this is me just transferring my pattern paper to the main fabric. Remember that for the shoulder area, we are doing a drawstring, so you are going to use 1.5 inches so that you can comfortably put in your ropes. Yes, you can comfortably put in your ropes for tying. Okay, then for the center back and the center front, starting from the under bust down, I had also cut out the pattern. Okay, transfer the two to my fabric. Now I'm going to be just marking 2 inches into 4 parts. Yes, this is on fold, so it's going to give me 4 parts. I want to use this for my drawstring, so I went ahead to cut 2 inches. Now for those that may be asking, I used the total of 4.5 inches for this dress, and then what I was left with was a 3 yards and 8 inches for my gathers. Yes, so now the first thing I will be doing is draw my gathers, which I already did here. So I'll just go ahead and adjust it to meet my new waist. Remember that your new waist is not just your 36, it is your 36 plus the back's inches that will be added. Now when I'm done arranging my gathers, I'll go ahead and just prepare my drawstrings. Yes, I'll go ahead and prepare my drawstrings, and I'll be sewing it to be as portable as possible, because you do not want to do a very big drawstring and then having to have a very big space. Okay, then when I'm done with that, the next thing I'll also do is to sew out my facing. Yes, I actually cut a facing for this dress. I am so keen at doing a neat job. I prefer putting a facing than piping that area. Yes, so I had to do a facing, and I actually loved the neat effect it gave me. So I did a facing for both the front and the back area. Now when I was done with the facing, I would go ahead and prepare my shoulder or my armhole area. So I first of all turned the armhole area, and when I was done turning my armhole area and I liked the knit effect, remember that I would do this on all of the sides before joining them. Before joining the shoulder, I will turn the armhole area before joining the shoulder. Now when I was done joining the armhole area of all the 4 pieces, yes, because we have a total of 4 pieces, when I was done turning all of this, I went ahead to join their shoulder to shoulder. Now let me know if you have learned a thing or two so far. Let me know if this video is as clear as it should be, and if I'm passing the knowledge that I really want to pass in this video. Now when I'm done, I'll just go ahead and mark my 1.5 inch down. Remember that we came up by 1.5 inch when we were adding the allowance, right? Because we want to create a room for our drawstring effect. So don't forget that you would use your chalk and your ruler to get that straight line all the way down before sewing to close that shoulder line. Yes, before sewing to close that shoulder line. So when I had drawn my chalk on the fabric, I went ahead to sew all the way to the end. Remember that the area that I faced is open while I sewed it. Yes, so this is me after ironing it. This is what it looks like. You see how neat it looks? Yes. And now I went ahead to do the drawstring on one side. I'll be showing you how to do it on this other one. So I'll first of all put in my drawstring. Yes, I'll pass in my drawstring, and I'm sewing by 0.75 because my drawstring is about 0.5 and I do not want it to be stitched alongside, so I'm trying to make it as comfortable and as loose as possible. So I'll go ahead and sew out by 0.75. Now if you need a neat work, please sew your drawstring up onto the points where you did your facing. Yes, so up onto the points where I did my facing before I now stitched to hold the drawstring, because you have to stitch down your drawstring so that when you pull it, it's not going to pull out. So now when I stitched on top of this part, it is only going to show on the facing. Yes, it is only going to show, so that when I turn out this facing, nothing of such, like no stitch or no line is showing apart from the straight line holding or encasing my drawstrings rope. I hope you are all following. Okay, so this is just one way I do when I'm making drawstrings, just to have that neat finishing. So I'll do the same thing to the other side, sew it up to the end. Remember that you're not going to push in so much in front, you're just going to push enough to hold your drawstring rope. You're just pushing in enough, at least half an inch or 0.75, enough to hold your drawstring rope. Now this is what it should look like when you are done. Okay, now I've gone ahead to iron everything and fold into 2. You can tell how beautiful already the work looks. Then I'll just go ahead and prepare the lower part of my under bust area. Now the part where we slash and spread, we are going to be drawing gathers on it. You know that the shoulder area we did a drawstring, while the lower part that is going to be joined to the under bust of your front and then the chest part of your back, you're going to be making a gathers on it. Yes, so you can do whatever gathering method you're used to. You can do the 2 stitch gathered effect, or you can do your the needle and thread technique, whichever works for you. Now for my front, I'm going to just go ahead and pin while noting my midpoints. Yes, while noting the midpoints for my front, I will make sure that whatever I'm pinning is passing the front with at least 3 to 4 inches. Now it depends on how covered your client or whoever you're making this for wants it to be at the front. It can be 3 inches, it can be 5 inches, depending on how covered they want it to be. Now when you're done, you're putting it across each other, just like you do your false wrap. And if you look at this, I have an excess, yes, because when you place this, you have to be sure that it is not collapsing. If you get what I'm saying, you have to be sure that it is well balanced. So when I noticed that excess, I decided to trim off, yes, because I do not want my false wrap to have an opening that is falling, yes. So I had to like trim off the excesses. And when I was done and I was satisfied with what I wanted, I went ahead to fix my underbust to my waistline, and this is what it looks like. Remember that I did double for the joining areas, yes, just for the joining areas. That is my waist, my underbust to my waistline. For the front and back, I doubled it so that I can have a neat closure. Yeah, so I can have a neat closure. So I'll be showing you what I did with the back of it. You can see that when I placed it, nothing was falling or trying to escape. So that was why I trimmed off that excess. Okay, now I'll also just hurriedly trim off this too. Well, after ironing, I just noticed that little excess, so I'll just go ahead and trim it out, yes. But then I'll show you how I turned everything in and out from my underbust to the waistline, okay, using the back pattern. Now this is our back pattern, so I'll just go ahead and draw it, to get the desired fullness that I need. Remember that your desired fullness is working based on what you have. Then I'll place it onto my chest fabric. Remember that I'm leaving that 1 inch allowance that I left for my zipper. We are not placing it to the 1 inch allowance, and in short, I came in by half an inch extra outside of my zipper allowance. I came in a bit by 0.5 inch, or you can come in by 0.25 inch. It mustn't necessarily start at the spot where your zipper allowance starts. Now when I'm done, I will take the other part of it and then close on top. Now this particular area, you have to be extremely careful so that you don't end up with stitching and one side is being sewn in. Okay, when I was done, I also trimmed off the excesses so that there will be no bulge inside of that. Then after doing that, I will just go ahead and close up my zipper allowance. Now this is what it should look like. Okay, now the next thing is just to press it nice and neat and then join the two sides together, and voila, our dress is 90% ready. Because after joining the two sides together, the next thing you're going to do is just to add your gathers to the back's waistline. Yes, so when you are done joining the two sides, just like I did here, you're just going to add your gathers on the back's waistline, and then final thing you're going to do is you're going to be fixing in the zipper. Yes, you're going to be fixing in the zipper allowance. Now as usual, what I usually do is that after I have given this dress or deliver this dress to the clients, when they do rock it, I would send my videos and my pictures of my clients. I'll post it in my page so that you can see what the final results looks like. But already looking at it, you can see how beautiful it looks. In short, trust me, the mannequin did not do justice. Yeah, the mannequin did not do justice to this dress, because the person is really bigger than this mannequin. From the bust point to the underbust length and everything, the distance is the difference is too wide. But yeah, this is what the dress looks like. Thank you so much for sticking with me, and if you haven't subscribed to my channel, you know that you should do that, right? All right, see you on my next video. Bye.